Thanks very much, Sharon. Can I start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're gathered today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Kicking off the 2022 Growing Queensland Business Roadshow. As Sharon mentioned, not only am I Minister for Procurement, I'm also Minister for Energy, and I want to talk today a little bit about how we are making sure that we can support you to cut your energy costs and boost your business at the same time. So that's why today is about how we're putting Queenslanders first through our Buy Queensland procurement approach, and it's really designed to see a preference given to Queensland businesses to help make us world leaders, but to help you make the really important changes in your business. So as you'd know, citizens worldwide, whether they're in our overseas export markets or whether they're people in our very own community, they're being very demanding of governments to take real action to address the immediate challenges of climate change and to see lower emissions products from businesses. They want to see local action on fuel prices as well. That's why we announced the Queensland Energy and Jobs Plan. So this plan has underwritten by $62 billion of investment. It is the most significant investment in economic transformation of any government in this nation's history. It's a blueprint for energy, cheaper, cleaner, more reliable energy to 2032 and beyond. And 2032 is of course important because that's when we'll have the eyes of the world on our region. That's when we together will host the world's first climate positive Olympic and Paralympic Games. And it'll be the year that we get to show the world what we've achieved, an example of what can be done when government and industry and workers and unions work together. So our plan is designed to drive significant public and private investment into the state's electricity infrastructure as well. Around 95% of that investment will be directed into regional Queensland, growing Queensland businesses. And that's because our Buy Queensland procurement approach will be applied to this $62 billion of investment to give preferences to Queensland businesses, local businesses just like yours. Last year, rooftop solar supplied about 8.9% of Queensland's total energy needs. But on days like today, if it stays sunny, it'll provide around 40% of the state's entire energy needs. It's quite extraordinary. Together, homes and small businesses around our community and across the state account for around 3.5 gigawatts of capacity. So those installations are equivalent to being the nation's largest power station. As our community and the rest of the state transitions to renewable energy, the storage of excess energy is going to become really important. Queenslanders, particularly those that are operating small businesses in our neighbourhood that have invested in those solar arrays, don't want to see excess energy wasted. They don't want to see when their factory is closed or your shop is closed, maybe on a Sunday or a Saturday, that solar isn't able to be used. You also want to see it being available to you when other generation is reduced. So you want to see that solar being available at night on those rainy or cloudy times or periods of no wind. That's why we're very excited to have welcomed the formation of the Advanced Materials and Battery Councils that was launched here in Queensland a couple of weeks ago, and it'll oversee the rollout of battery technology here in our community. Batteries that will help smooth out the highs and lows, absorbing and storing energy when we've got too much, like in the middle of the day today, allowing you to put it into a system that you can access when other resources are falling short. Importantly, we're going to make those batteries here. And so those of you in our community are ready to step up and move into that advanced manufacturing. We want to hear from you. We've also recently released a manufacturing opportunities prospectus for the construction of the Queensland supergrid as well. So that's a significant call out for a very large scale, very strong pipeline of large-scale energy equipment supply chain, and we're pleased to say that over 200 manufacturers have indicated that they're ready to support the government's initiatives there. So this supergrid that I've talked about, this is the supergrid that you can see here on the screen. It'll deliver 25 gigawatts of large-scale wind and solar. So to put that into context, today we'll probably use about 4 gigawatts. And so, of course, because it's not sunny and windy around the state all at the same time, we need to be able to connect that with the largest transmission line in the nation. You'll see it goes from southeast Queensland all the way up to Townsville and out to Hughenden. Of course, we'll strengthen lines around Cairns and down to the border where we have the interconnector with New South Wales, underpinned by pumped hydroelectric storage and a significant number of batteries up and down the coast. That pumped hydro storage up in the west of Mackay there will be the largest in the world. So what that'll do is it'll soak up that additional energy that you've got on your rooftops in the middle of the day. It'll pump the water up, and when it's needed, it will gravity feed probably up to 16 significant turbines, making it the largest pumped hydro in the world, a very, very significant infrastructure build out. Independent modelling has been done to inform the Queensland Energy and Jobs Plan to build this energy infrastructure that you can see here, whether it's hydrogen hubs, building our Queensland renewable energy zones, our battery projects, etc., will require 64,000 jobs between now and the middle of next decade just to deliver that infrastructure. It's not 64,000 all at once, but across that period. And so there's a further 36,000 in what they call green growth opportunities, and so they're the sorts of manufacturing opportunities for things like batteries, etc., that will roll out of the plan. Our Queensland workforce strategy will support this, so we're starting putting that together at the moment. We know that we'll have a challenge in terms of attracting people. I think most of you around this room will be finding workforce attraction a bit of a challenge at the moment, so we recognise that. We've got very low unemployment here in Queensland. We've got significant migration. We know that there are some housing stresses as well, but we'll need to make sure that we're able to get the very best and brightest to come and work for your businesses to help us through this economic transformation. And we'll do that by having a clear plan. We'll do that by making sure that there's a strong pipeline of work for local businesses. And I think when people know that they've got a long-term job, when they know that their employment is stable and that they've got a good lifestyle, we've got a great lifestyle here in our community with those sort of investments into our hospitals and our schools, and the investment in the M1, again, here is pretty hard to miss, with the next stage of that to the Logan motorway getting underway soon. So what are those sorts of jobs that we'll be looking at? So I want everyone to think really broadly about, building this doesn't mean we need 64,000 electrical engineers. In fact, in the short term, the building of this energy infrastructure is going to need people who work for trucking and logistics companies. We're going to need bricklayers. We're going to need chippies. We will need electricians. We'll need a lot of plumbers and concreters. We'll need a lot of equipment operators. Every single one of those installations is going to require a road or a track at least to be built to it. So we'll need machine operators, we'll need equipment operators, and thousands of workers in other fields. And that's just in our community alone. And of course, it's not just those direct jobs and those contracts. It'll also mean great opportunities for those of you who work in the tourism sector, if you're an accommodation provider, if you work in retail, hospitality venues. You'll all get your own mini boom over the course of the next 10 to 20 years. And of course, we'll be working to deliver you the underlying energy security. It'll be right through to the provision of services like catering, printing, communications, safety equipment, workwear. That's the reality of the game-changing energy and jobs plan. So the government has committed significant resources and funding to stepping up our supply chain capability, establishing local content targets, and accelerating the growth of the renewable energy manufacturing industry. All of this momentum will come to life, though, through the Buy Queensland procurement umbrella. We're very proud of the Buy Queensland procurement story, and you can see some of our recent finalists in our Buy Queensland Awards, including the winner in the middle there from a local Logan business. Buy Queensland was introduced in 2017. It's been maturing rapidly since then, The good news is some statistics for you. That has driven $51 billion of investment. So this is your money that used to go offshore, overseas, into New South Wales, Victoria, but it's now being invested into your businesses. So we've done that business with more than 68,730 Queensland businesses across the state. 82% of our suppliers are people like you see up here from Struddies that are supplying to government. 32,500 of those are in regional Queensland. Here in Logan, Beaudesert, we've done business with 3,360 local businesses. That's a huge number. That's a great reach into this local community. What that has meant is that we have invested $1.7 billion of Queensland taxpayers' money directly back into this community, and that's only going to grow. That's only going to grow. We're committed to spending 30% of our total procurement budget with Queensland small to medium enterprises as well. And that's really important. When I look around this room, I see businesses of all sizes, some from sole traders right through to those that are employing 100 or more. We really want to target into that level. That's the sort of level of businesses that we see in our region here. We've worked really hard to back in ethical suppliers, making sure that we're only doing business with those of the highest standard. So the race is on now to secure clean energy supply chains. We want to ensure that Queensland businesses, ones like yours, capture the maximum benefits from this clean energy industrial evolution. So we'll keep doing all of the things that we have always done. We'll keep working with you in health and education and transport and community services. And now we're going to provide this additional opportunity of the energy transformation. But what it really does mean, when you think about that, and you think about the 2032 Olympics and Paralympics, is that we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to build our economic prosperity here in Logan. That's specifically why we have lent in to the Energy and Jobs Plan and the Buy Queensland procurement approach, because we think this is a game changer for this region. So we're very proud of all the businesses that are ready to work with us here in our community. So today, without further ado, I'd like to welcome you to the Growing Queensland Business Roadshow. Today is all about a greater focus on helping you to see where those opportunities are in all of this story for you to be able to supply to government. We want you to take the opportunity to learn from experts in the field of procurement across all of our agencies and local government that we work really closely with, so that you can become more involved and start planning for some of these big opportunities, because there's a bit of planning work that needs to go into some of these. Of course, we urge you to consider the opportunities to get on board and make the most of it. To make sure that you're signed up for our newsletters so that you know when these opportunities are rolling out. We're in this for the future, and we hope that you can be part of flicking this switch, turning Queensland onto clean, cheap, renewable energy. But we also hope that means growing your business, showcasing our community to the world, and ultimately helping our region supply, grow and thrive. Thanks very much for the opportunity to open the Growing Queensland Business Roadshow session today here at Fitzy's. I wish you all the very best, and I look forward to continuing to support the growth of your local businesses. Thanks very much, Sharon.